Well, joining me now is Richard Fuller, the Conservative MP for North Bedfordshire. Good morning to you, Richard.
Good morning, Andy. How are you?
I'm fine and dandy, sir. What do you make then of the possible expansion of Tempsford?
Well, I think there have been reports of potential expansion in and around Tempsford for some years, and as David Sutton, the chair of the parish council, was saying, one of the concerns of yesterday was that there was no real understanding what the scale of any potential housing growth around that new station will be. It's clear that Rachel Reeves wants to build more houses there. She wouldn't have announced the moving forward the railway station before any final decision on East West Rail has been made, unless it was all about stimulating housing. But no one knows the amount of housing, and naturally that causes concerns. And you also had that gentleman Kane Emerson, the Labour researcher, who came out with a very scary report in July.
Can you understand why it's been looked at, though, as an area for new town? I mean, is there anywhere that would be better in Bedfordshire?
No, there's a tremendous logic to it. If you're one of the bureaucrats in Whitehall, you've got the A1, you've got the Great Northern Line, you've potentially got a railway, and you've got the new road connecting Milton Keynes to Cambridge. So, it is a very logical place. But what I'm sure my local residents, I've spoken to many of them over the last 4 or 5 years, because as I said, this is not new news, but they've never been given any clarity about, well, what does it mean for local services? How is any development going to fit in with the existing character and history of the village? There's a very rich history in Tempsford, and that's really what the Chancellor should be talking about. If she really cares about local communities and about not just concreting over areas, she should be engaging, and Angela Rayner should be engaging with the parish council, with local residents, and talking through and listening to their views about how that community can develop. But in principle, no, it does make logical sense to look at growth in that town area.
Because we need new homes, don't we? I mean, house prices have become incredibly high. I mean, it's bonkers. And it's so hard, isn't it, to get on the ladder?
Well, it is, but we're doing our bit. If you look at the rate of household growth, housing growth in Bedfordshire, and I'm sure it's in the rest of the 3 counties there, but certainly in Bedfordshire, we're growing 2.5 to 3 times the national average. I don't know how fast housing growth is going on in Rachel Reeves' constituency, but I know we're growing far faster in terms of providing more houses than Angela Rayner's constituency, Ashton under Lyne, for example. So we're doing our bit. And when the Chancellor then says that she wants us to go further, faster, more houses, potentially the tens of thousands, and if we followed Kane Emerson's report, Tempsford would turn into a community of 150,000 people. Just think about that. That would stretch not just from Tempsford, but from St Neots through to Sandy and down to Biggleswade. Now, is that the scale that they're thinking about? I don't know. So we're doing our bit. We do need new housing. There is logic to looking at Tempsford, but it shouldn't be singled out, and there should be a scaling of what is expected, and the public services need to be provided first.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I think everybody who listens to this show gets that we have to build more houses, and it has to be done in a way. But also, there's got to be the infrastructure there, and be it doctors, schools, libraries, roads. The list is long. The infrastructure has to be there, and it does feel, and I know you and I have had this conversation many a time. It does feel that the developer is always wagging the tail here. It's always, I'll build the houses, and then, I will build that road, but let me build another 2,000 houses, and then I'll get back to the road. And they A, they never do, or B, when they do, it's carnage. So that needs to be looked at, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, a lot of residents in Tempsford and Everton will, let's talk about GP. There's a lovely GP surgery in Potton. A lot of residents will go there, but that's already very, very busy with local residents. If you look at school provision, certainly in Bedford Borough, and I think also in central Bedfordshire, our secondary schools are already full with pupils because we've been building all those new houses, and because our local authorities have been racing to keep up with building this new infrastructure. If the government, if Rachel Reeves wants to build more housing in Tempsford or along the railway line that she's so keen on, then I think it is responsible for them first to say, here is the money, and here are the people to provide health services and provide secondary schools and primary schools. If they do that, I think they'll get buy-in, more buy-in from local people who feel that pressure today on getting an appointment with their GP or getting their child to their favourite school.
The thing is, as well, is people have had their fingers burnt, haven't they? You look, Wixham's great example. No
Yes.
station. Terrific example. Had all those houses built, no station. Eventually, that will happen. But I think every single one of our listeners could think of a development that's near them and goes, well, where's the shops? Where's the school? Where's the surgery? And that, the public are a little bit wary of stuff like this, and that needs to change. I suppose
because people are pragmatic, aren't they? I mean, that's what they are, Andy. I mean, they look at what's going on in their lives today. They're rather sceptical of politicians talking about highfalutin ideas about what may happen in 10, 20 years' time. What they want to have is someone who's focused on the issues that affect them today. And so it's interesting about the Chancellor. So let's build a new town in Tempsford, a new station in Tempsford. Whereas talking to residents in Sandy, talking to residents in Biggleswade, they're concerned that the service they're getting on that railway line is unreliable for them to get in to London. There was no announcement by the Chancellor today that she was going to invest any money in making sure there's a reliable existing railway service through the towns of Sandy and Biggleswade, rather than looking out 10 years to what she might do in Tempsford with a new station.
Final question to you, Richard. If following, Rachel Reeves' announcement, it looks like the East-West Rail is definitely happening all the way to Cambridge. What are your thoughts on the project?
I think my thoughts are very well known, certainly to my constituents, Andy. I think I've looked at the railway line. I think it's a disastrous, environmentally damaging route through North Bedfordshire that we have been lumbered with by the former mayor, Dave Hodgson. But more broadly than that, with a national perspective, having looked at the Oxcam ARC quote-unquote strategy for growth, I think it's the wrong strategy. If you want to unlock, and we all want to unlock, the potential of our next generation of entrepreneurs, our scientists with their discoveries that can be better for all of us, the way to do that is to build communities like Tempsford that are clustered in and around our centres of excellence like Cambridge. That's the way to do it, not to build an iron string between two privileged universities. That's the way to do it. And it's interesting, just finally, if I can, the metaphor was similar, I've never know the difference, of calling it Silicon Valley, Britain's Silicon Valley. Rachel Reeves needs to get up to date, because in America, tech firms are no longer starting in Silicon Valley. They've moved out of Silicon Valley to places like Texas and other places where regulation is lower and taxes are lower. That's the better strategy to unlock growth.
I just want to say as well, someone was said last night, which they said, well, the runway, the extension runway, the third runway at Heathrow and stuff like that, it will take a long time to build, but it will give guarantees that it's going to be built, therefore will bring in investment now, because they know there's going to be a third runway eventually being built, and it will encourage investment. They said the same thing about HS2, didn't they? That we build HS2 and encourage investment. Where's that all gone?
Well, that sounds a bit bonkers to me. I mean, if you are asking people to invest in a business based upon a runway that has yet to be built and won't be built for a decade, you must have a very, very long horizon for getting your money back. People will be looking more to say, well, where can I invest now, where I know there's the talent and skills, where I know I can get my product developed and into the market quickly now, and where the regulations are low so that I don't have to fill in loads of bureaucratic forms. And then if I make it a success, the government isn't going to tax me to the hilt. And the problem that Rachel Reeves has is that people with that sense of ingenuity, that sense of ambition, have looked at the UK or have been in the UK and said, this Labour government doesn't believe in me, I'm going somewhere else.
Richard, as always, lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much for being on the show this morning. Richard Fuller, the Conservative MP for North Bedfordshire. And off the back of that, I'd love to hear from you. If you live in the Tempsford area,